Welcome to MambaTutorials.com and welcome to this first tutorial where we'll just have a quick look around the interface just so we can see where everything is. We'll not do anything in this tutorial as such, just consider it like a tour of the office on your first day. So at the moment I'm running my Mamba on a single screen. If you have a two-screen system, then the layout's slightly different. Generally you'll see this sort of display on your left-hand monitor and perhaps this sort of display on your right-hand monitor. So starting with the left-hand side. Firstly, this big area here is just where we arrange our nodes and create our pipeline. And then we have various tools along the top, obviously, to control those. Towards the bottom of the frame, we have these tabs that take us through the logical sections of the program. So under Project is where we'll create and manage our projects, import our media and manage our media, choose the effects that we're going to work with, animate the parameters using a graph or other controls. On the two-screen layout, these actually become redundant because they're on the right-hand monitor anyway. And you'll see at the top of your frame you'll have a keyframe graph to switch the graphs on. Some attributes to give us some more information about the clips we're working with, our output tab for rendering movies and so on, and a few setup options. The right-hand part of the display is what's called the visual editor. So this is where we review the effects that we're making and interact with them. So firstly we have our display to show us what we're creating. We can also bring up scopes to check the levels of what we're working on. There are 4 scopes, they're actually all the same. They're just there so that you can choose different views at the same time. Down here is our playback bar, so we can position our playhead to add keyframes using the functions here. So for example, animating the radius of this circle wipe. We have various play functions down here. One important thing to note is that this display is designed for interaction. For real-time playback, we should go to the full screen display by clicking here. Double-click on the display to get back to the visual editor. Over here we have some various options to change our display, zooming in and out, center our display, reset the zoom, and also to choose what exactly we're looking at. For example, just the alpha channel, just the green channel. We can also choose whether we're looking at the full resolution of what we're working on, or a user-definable lower proxy resolution to speed us up. Dynamic will switch between the two. The bottom panel is then occupied by the controls of whatever effect we're working on at the time. Every effect in Mamba can be controlled by a graph, but many effects have their own overlay interface to make things easier. For example, if I added a color corrector, we can see that it has its own controls that occupy that part of the interface. But in fact, the keyframes are always there. They're just sitting underneath. On the dual screen layout, rather than using curves to switch between the interface, there's simply a keyframe button up here to press. This control area is context sensitive, so as you click around different effects, the relevant interface will appear. So in this case, because I've picked a color generator, then obviously I have my color controls. And almost all Mamba effects work this way, that we simply click on an effect to access its parameters, and its parameters will appear here, along with their specific interfaces if they have one. There are a couple of exceptions, where the control interface for a particular effect takes the entire screen. So for example, if I pick Vector Paint, we can now see along here we have a tab for paint. So the paint interface takes the entire screen. And we press the back button to get back to our normal interface. Another effect that takes the entire screen is the warper. So again, once we have the warper enabled, we get an option here to open up the display. So this quick tour will hopefully give you an idea of where everything is within the interface of Mamba, and in the next tutorials we'll continue to look at controlling effects.